Throughout human history, many powerful civilizations have risen across the world. They built large cities, created advanced technologies for their time, and developed cultures that shaped the life of millions of people. These societies built temples, roads, trade networks, and systems of governments that allowed them to grow and prosper for centuries. But history also showed us something surprising. Even the greatest civilizations do not last forever. Some slowly declined over generations, while others seemed to disappear almost completely. The cities were abandoned, the traditions faded, and the people were eventually absorbed into a new culture that came after them. Over time, many of these once thriving societies were forgotten, leave behind only ruins, artifacts, and unanswered questions. Today, archaeologists and historians continue to study these ancient places in order to understand what happened to them. Through excavation and research, they have begun to uncover the story of civilizations that once played an important role in the ancient world. In this video, we will explore several remarkable civilizations that exist thousands of years ago but eventually disappeared from history. From advanced city builders to powerful trading culture, these lost societies remind us how fragile even the most successful civilizations can be. 1. The Indus Valley Civilization. One of the earliest advanced civilizations in human history, developed thousands of years ago along the fertile plains of the Indus River. This society is known today as the Indus Valley Civilization and is flourished in the region that now modern-day Pakistan and northwestern India. Archaeologists believe it began to grow around 2600 BC and continued for several centuries as one of the largest civilizations of the ancient world. What makes the Indus Valley civilizations especially remarkable is how organized and advanced its cities were for the time. Major urban centers such as Harappa and Mohenjo-daro were carefully planned with straight streets around in Greek patterns. Homes were built with brick bricks and often enclosed private wells and bathing areas. Even more impressive was their drainage system. Many streets had covered drains that carried wastewater away from houses, suggesting that the people played great importance on clean life and public health. The people of the Indus Valley were also skilled craftsmen and traders. They create beautiful pottery, jewelry, and carved stone seals that once show animals or symbolic designs. These seals may have been used in trade or as a form of identification. Evidence suggests that the civilization trade goods with distant regions such as Mesopotamia, exchanging material like metal, precious stone, and textile. Despite this achievement, many aspects of the society remain mysterious. Unlike other ancient civilizations, the Indus Valley people did not leave behind large monuments celebrating kings or rulers. Their writing system had been discovered on small tablets and seals, but it had not been yet fully disappeared. Because of this, historians still know very little about their government, beliefs, or daily life. Around 1900 BC, however, the great cities of the Indus Valley began to decline. Populations slowly decreased, and many urban areas were gradually abandoned. Some researchers believe that environmental change may have played a role. Shifts in river patterns, flood, or long periods of drought could have made farming more difficult for people who depend on the land. Other historians suggest that The economic changes or migrations of new groups into the region may have disrupted the stability of the civilization. Whatever the exact cause, the one thriving city slowly lost their importance. Over time, the large urban centers disappeared and smaller rural communities took their place. Although the Indus Valley civilization eventually faded from history, its achievements remain impressive even today. The ruins of its cities reveal a society that valued organization, craftsmanship, and trade. Yet, despite all that had been discovered, many questions about these people still remain unanswered, making the Indus Valley one of the most fascinating lost civilizations in the ancient world. 2. The Minoan civilization. Centuries after the rise of early river civilizations in Asia, another remarkable society began to flourish in the Mediterranean. On the island of Crete, located between mainland Greece and North Africa, the Minoan civilization emerged as one of the earliest advanced cultures in Europe. Archaeologists believe the Minoan began to developing complex communities around 3000 BC, eventually becoming a powerful trading society that dominated much of the Aegean Sea. The Minoans are best known for their impressive palace complex. The most famous of these is the Palace of Knossos, a massive structure that served as a political, economic, and cultural center. Unlike the fortified city of many ancient civilizations, Minoan Palace has appeared to have been open and welcoming space. Dark courtyard, colorful wall, and detailed artwork suggest that the society valued beauty, creativity, and community life. The walls of this ballet were often decorated with fresco by painting that showed scenes of the nature, sea life, festival, and athletic activity. These images provide valuable insight into Minoan culture. The success of society that celebrate monument, color, and connection with the natural world. One of the most famous scenes that's baked in Minoan art show athletes performing a ritual known as bull leaping, in which participants would leap over the back of Changing Bull in a display of agility and courage. Trade played a major role in the success of Minoan civilization because Crete sat at a strategic location in Mediterranean. Minoan ships traveled widely, connecting the island to Egypt, the Near East, and mainland Greece. They trade pottery, metal, textile, and other valuable goods, helping the civilization grow wealthy and influential. The Minoan also developed a form of writing known as lineage. This script appeared on the tablets and other objects found in the city, but like writing of the Indus Valley civilization, it had not yet been fully disappeared. As a result, many details about the political system and belief remain unknown. However, around 1600 BC, a major natural disaster may have shaken the foundation of Minoan society. A massive volcanic eruption occurred on the nearby island of Thera, now known as Santorini. The eruption was powerful enough to send us high into the sky and may have triggered earthquake and large sea wave across the region. Also, the Minoan civilization did not disappear immediately. This disaster likely weakened its economy and infrastructure. In the century that followed, a new power began to rise in the region, the Mycenaeans. A group of mainland Greeks gradually expanded their influence across the Aegean. By around 1450 BC, Many Minoan palaces were destroyed or taken over, and the Minoan became the dominant power in the area. Over time, the unique culture of the Minoan slowly faded, blending into the societies that followed. Today, the ruins of Knossos and other ancient sites still stand as a reminder of this one thriving civilization. Rumors about Minoan remain mysterious. The air, architecture, and maritime culture continue to fascinate historians and visitors from around the world. The Olmec civilization, thousands of years ago, deep within the tropical lowlands of what is now southern Mexico, a remarkable civilization began to emerge. This society, known today as the Olmec civilization, is often considered one of the earliest complex cultures in Mesoamerica. Although much about them remains mysterious, the Olmecs play an important role in shaping the civilizations that flower in that region. The Olmec civilizations flourished between approximately 1500 BC and 400 BC. Their major centers include San Lorenzo, La Venta, and later Tres Zapost. These locations were carefully planned settlements and served as political, religious, and economic centers for the surrounding community. One of the most fascinating features of the Olmec civilizations is their impressive stone and sculpture. Among these, the famous Khalsa head, massive stone carvings that can weigh several tons. Each head displays unique facial features and is believed to represent powerful rulers or important figures in Olmec society. Transporting these enormous stones from distant quarries would have required careful planning, teamwork, and advanced engineering skill for the time. The Olmecs were also skilled artists and craftsmen. Archaeologists have discovered a beautiful carved jade ornament, detailed pottery, and symbolic figurines that reflect their spiritual beliefs. Many of their artwork include images of animals such as jaguars, birds, and serpents, which many have held special meaning in their mythology and religious tradition. In addition to their artistic achievement, the Olmec likely contributed to several cultural ideas that later became important throughout Mesoamerica. Some historians believe they have developed early form of writing, calendar system, and ceremonial architecture that influenced later civilizations such as Maya and Aztec. Despite the importance, however, the Olmec left behind relatively few written records. Much of what we know now about them they come from archaeological discovery rather than historical documents. Because of these, many aspects of their society, including their political structure and daily life, remain uncertain. Around 900 BC, the major Olmec center of San Lorenzo was certainly abandoned. The reason of this remains unclear. Some researchers believe that environmental change may have played a role. Rivers in the region may have shaped the path, which could have affected agriculture and transportation. After the decline of San Lorenzo, another city, La Venta, became the main center of Olmec culture. For several centuries, it continued to serve as an important ceremonial site. Eventually, however, Laventa also experienced a decline, and by around 400 BC, the Olmec civilization had largely disappeared as an unfight cultural force. Although the Olmec fade from history, the influence did not completely vanish. Many cultural traditions, artistic style, and religious ideas seen in later Mesoamerican civilizations may have originated by Olmec. Because of this lasting influence, historians sometimes refer to them as one of the modern culture of the region. Today, the giant stone head and other artifacts left behind by the Olmec continue to intrigue archaeologists and visitors alike. These silent monuments offer a glimpse into a civilization that's answered but eventually disappear, leaving behind only clues to its remarkable past. The Nabataean civilization in the desert of the Middle East, another fascinating civilization once in the landscape that many people would consider extremely harsh. This society, known as the Nabataean civilization, built a powerful trading culture that flourished for several centuries in what is now modern-day Jordan and part of the surrounding region. Nabataean are most famous for a remarkable city of Petra. Hidden among towering sandstone cliffs, Petra was carefully carved into rock itself. Massive temple, tombs, and buildings were sculpted directly into the canyon wall, creating one of the most visually striking ancient cities in the world. But the success of the Nabatean was not based only on architecture. Their true strength came from trade. Petra was located at an important crossroad between Arabia, Egypt, and the Mediterranean. Because of the location, the Nabateans controlled several major trade routes that carried valuable goods around the region. Caravan loaded with spice, incense, textile, and precious material passed through Nabatean territory on the way to distant market. By managing these trade networks, the Nabatean became wealthy and influential. The cities developed into serving commercial centers that connected culture from different parts of the ancient world. Living in a desert environment also required remarkable ingenuity. The Nabateans developed advanced systems for collecting and storing water. They built channels, reservoirs, and underground systems that allowed them to capture rainwater and control its flow. This technology made it possible for large communities to survive in areas where water was scarce. For centuries, the Nabatean civilization continued to grow and prosper. However, like many ancient societies, the power eventually began to decline. One major turning point came in the year 106 AD when the expanding Roman Empire took control of the Nabatean kingdom. After the Roman annexation, the region was incorporated into the Roman province of Arabia. Petra remained an important city for a time, but the political independence of the Nabateans was gone. Over the following centuries, change in trade routes gradually reduced the importance of Petra as a commercial hub. The natural event may have also contributed to city declines. Several earthquakes struck the region during the later century of Roman and Byzantine rule. This disaster damaged building and infrastructure, making it more difficult for the city to maintain its former prosperity. As trade decreased and population shifted to other areas, Petra slowly lost its significance. Many with grand structure were eventually abandoned, and the one busy city became quiet. Over time, the desert winds and sands helped hide the remains of Petra from much of the outside world. For centuries, the city was known mainly to local communities and travelers passing through the region. Today, the carved stone facades of Petra still stand a breathtaking reminder of the Nabatean civilization. Although their political power faded long ago, their architectural achievement and innovative desert engineering continue to capture the imagination of historian and visitor alike. 5. The Ancestral Puebloan. across the dry landscape of the American Southwest. Another fascinating cultural one thrived along before modern city appeared in the region. Known today as the Ancestral Puebloans, these people developed a complex society that exists for many centuries in areas that are now part of the United States, including present-day Colorado, Utah, Arizona, and New Mexico. The Ancestral Puebloans are especially well known for their remarkable cliff dwellings and stone village, one of the most famous locations in Mesa Verde, where entire communities were built into a natural alcove of the canyon wall. This home was carefully constructed from stone blocks and mortar, forming cluster of rooms that create protected living space within the cliff. From a distance, this cliff dwelling appeared almost hidden within the rock formation, blending naturally into the surrounding landscape. Archaeologists believe that this structure may have provided both protection and shelter from the environment. Earlier in history, the ancestor Buffon lived in smaller farming communities across the region. They grew crops such as corn, bean, and squash, which formed the foundation of the diet. Over time, their villages became larger and more organized, and they built ceremonial structures known as kibbutzim that were used for community gatherings and spiritual practice. The ancestral Buffon were also skilled craftsmen. They produced beautiful decorated pottery, woven textile, and intricate tools made from stone and bone. Trade network connected the community with other groups across the Southwest, allowing goods and ideas to spread across large distance. However, life in the region could be challenging. The Southwest climate was often dry, and farming depended heavily on seasonal rainfall. Around the late 1200s, the conditions of the region began to change. Several periods of drought make it increasingly difficult to grow crops and support large population. As resources became more limited, many communities began to move away from their traditional settlement. Large villages and cliff dwelling were gradually abandoned as people migrate toward areas with more reliable water source. By the end of the 3rd century, many of the famous cliff dwellings in places like Mesa Verde were no longer occupied. The people who once lived there did not disappear entirely. Instead, they moved south and east, eventually forming the communities that are today known as Pueblo people. Although the original settlement were left behind, the cultural tradition of the ancestral Puebloan continues through their descendants. Today, their remarkable architecture remains one of the most impressive examples of the ancient engineering in North America. Working through the quiet rooms of their cliff dwelling, it is easy to imagine that life may have been like centuries ago. The abandoned stone room, narrow pathway, and ceremonial space often a glimpse into society that once thrived in the desert landscape before gradually be moving on to new homes and new chapters in their story. 5. The Kingdom of Aksum. In the Horn of Africa, another powerful civilization unflourished along important trade routes that connect Africa with the Middle East and the Mediterranean world. This society was known as the Kingdom of Aksum and did develop in what is now modern-day Ethiopia and Eritrea. The Kingdom of Aksum began to grow around the 1st century AD because of its location near the Red Sea. Aksum quickly became an important center of trade. Merchants from many different regions traveled through Aksumite ports, bringing goods from Africa, Arabia, India, and Roman world. Aksumite traders export valuable products such as ivory, gold, and agricultural goods. In return, they receive items like textile, metal, and other luxury material. This constant flow of trade helped the kingdom grow wealthy and powerful. The capital city of Khartoum became a major political and cultural center. One of the most famous features of this ancient city it is the giant stone monument known as Stela. These tall stone pillars were carefully carved and placed as markers for important tombs and royal burial. Some of these monuments reach height of more than 20 meters, demonstrating the impressive engineering skills of the Aksumite people. Another remarkable achievement of the Aksumite kingdom was the creation of its currency. Aksum became one of the few civilizations in ancient Africa to mine coins. These coins were used in trade and have strengthened the kingdom's economic influence across the region. During the 4th century AD, the Kingdom of Aksum became one of the earliest states to officially adopt Christianity. This decision played an important role in shaping the cultural identity of the region and helped connect Aksum with other Christian communities across the Mediterranean world. For several centuries, Aksum remained a powerful, respected kingdom. However, change in Roman trade route eventually began to affect its prosperity. As new political powers emerged and trading patterns shifted, fewer merchants passed through Aksumite territory. Environmental factors may have also contributed to kingdom gradual decline. Some historians believe that overuse of farmlands and change in climate could have reduced agricultural productivity. As resources became more limited, the population may have slowly moved towards other areas. By around 7th and 8th century AD, the influence of Aksumite kingdom would greatly diminish. The once busy trade network that supported it well were no longer as active, and the political center of power rapidly shifted away from the city of Aksum. Although the kingdom eventually stayed as the dominant power, its cultural legacy did not disappear. The tradition and religious heritage that developed during the Aksumite period continue to influence the societies that follow in the region. Today, the towering stone stele and archaeological remains of Aksum still stand as reminders of a civilization that once played a significant role in connecting different parts of the ancient world through trade, culture, and innovation. 7. The Maya civilizations. In the dense rainforests of Central America, one of the most advanced civilizations of the ancient Americas one flourished for centuries, known as the Maya civilization. This society developed across the vast region that today include part of southern Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, Honduras, and El Salvador. The Maya civilization began forming as early as 2000 BC, but it reached its greatest height during a period historians call the Classic Era, which lasts roughly from 250 AD to 980. During this time, the Maya built impressive cities filled the towering pyramid, palace, ceremonial plazas, and detailed stone monuments. Cities Tikal, Palenque, and Copan became major center of the cultural, religion, and political power. This city was connected through trade route and alliance, creating a network of powerful city-states spread across the region. The Maya, well known for their remarkable achievements in science and knowledge. They developed one of the most advanced writing systems in the ancient Americas, using hieroglyphic symbols to record historical events, royal lineage, and religious belief. Many of these inscriptions were carved into stone monuments or written on bark paper books known as codices. The Maya also made important discoveries in mathematics and astronomy. The calendar system was extremely accurate, allowing them to track circles of time and observe movement of celestial bodies. These observations play a significant role in their religious ceremony and agricultural planning. Despite this achievement, life in the Maya world was not always stable. So civilization was made up of many independent city-states, each ruled by its own leaders. Competition were between these cities sometimes led to conflict and shifting alliance. Around the 9th century AD, something unusual began to happen. Many of the great cities in the southern lowland region started to decline. Large construction projects stopped, monuments were no longer erected, and populations began to shrink. Over time, some cities were completely abandoned. The reason behind this decline are still debated among historians and archaeologists. Several factors may have contributed, including environmental change, periods of drought, and the challenge of supporting large populations in dense rural environments. Deforestation and intensive farming may have laid additional stress on the land. At the same time, ongoing competition between city-states could have weakened political stability in the region. Rather than disappearing suddenly, the Maya civilization experienced a gradual transformation. Many people migrate to our area, particularly in the northern Yucatan Peninsula, where new cities continue to develop. Even after the decline of the Castlic Maya cities, Maya culture did not vanish completely. Their descendants continued to live throughout Central America, preserving elements of their language, tradition, and knowledge. Today, the ruins of ancient Maya cities rise above the jungle canal, offering a glimpse into one of the most sophisticated civilizations of the ancient world. Although many of the great urban centers were eventually abandoned, the cultural legacy of the Maya continues to survive through the people and traditions that remain in the region today. 8. The Khmer Empire and the city of Angkor. Deep in the tropical forests of the Southeast Asia, the remains of that one great empire still stand as a powerful reminder on human creativity and ambition. This was the Khmer Empire, one of the most influential civilizations in history of the region. The Khmer Empire rose to power around the 9th century and controlled much of mainland Southeast Asia for several hundred years. At its height, the empire ruled territory that include part of the present-day Cambodia, Thailand, Laos, and Vietnam. The center of this powerful civilization was the city of Angkor, located what is now Cambodia. Angkor not just a city, it was one of the largest urban centers in the world at the time, stretching across hundreds of square kilometers. Angkor was filled with temple, reservoir, canal, road, and residential area. Modern research has shown that the city was part of vast urban network supported by advanced engineering and careful planning. One of the most famous structures built by the Khmer civilization is Angkor Wat, a massive temple complex originally constructed in the early 12th century, built from millions of sandstone blocks. The temple features tall towers, long galleries, and detailed carving that cover nearly every surface. These carvings tell stories from mythology, religious tradition, and the history of Khmer kings. The level of artistic detail showed the extraordinary skill of the craftsmen who worked on the temple. Religion played an important role in the Khmer Empire. Early rulers followed Hindu tradition, dedicating temple to gods such as Vishnu and Shiva. Later, many Khmer leaders adopted form of Buddhism, which gradually became more common throughout the region. But Angkor Greatness was not built on the temple alone. One of the empire's most remarkable achievements was its water management system. The Khmer engineers construct massive reservoirs known as barrages, along with canals that direct the water across the landscape. This system helped control seasonal flooding and store water during dry periods. This allowed farmers to grow grain more efficiently, supporting a very large population. For centuries, this combination of engineering, agriculture, religion, and political power allowed the Khmer Empire to flourish. However, by the 14th and the 15th century, the empire began to weaken. Several factors may have contributed to its gradual decline. Environmental change may have affected the delicate water management system that support anchor population. Long periods of drought, followed by intense floods, could have damaged canals and reservoirs. At the same time, political challenge and conflict with neighboring kingdoms placed additional pressure on the empire. As conditions became more difficult, the political center of Crimea would slowly shift away from Angkor. By the 15th century, many parts of the one great city were gradually abandoned. Over time, the surrounding forests slowly reclaimed much of the urban landscape. Temples became covered with rocks and vegetation, hiding the remains of the ancient city for centuries. Today, Angkor is one of the most important archaeological sites in the world. Visitors who work among the towering temples can still sense the scale and complexity of the civilization that once served there. Although the empire eventually faded, the cultural and architectural achievement of the Khmer people continue to inspire admiration around the world. Why great civilizations rise and fall? Throughout history, many great civilizations have risen, flourished, and eventually fade away. From the city of Mesopotamia to temples of Angkor, and from the pyramids of Maya to the earth mouth of Cahokia, each society had left behind clues about how human communities grow and change over time. Also, these civilizations exist in different regions and cultures. Many of them share similar patterns. Moths began near reliable source of water, such as rivers or fertile lands. Access to water allowed people to grow food, support larger population, and develop stable communities. As the population increased, society became more complex. People began specializing in different roles such as farming, building, trading, or governing. City grew larger, and government developed system of law and administration. Cultural achievement also became more visible. Many civilizations create impressive architecture, system of writing, artistic tradition, and scientific knowledge. However, as society became more complex, they also face many new challenges. Environmental change could play straight on agriculture, rough food flood or deforestation sometimes make it difficult for communities to produce enough food. At the same time, political struggles or competition with neighboring society could weaken internal stability. Trade network has one broke well and resource could collapse during periods of crisis. When several of these pressures happen at the same time, even powerful civilizations could struggle to survive. It is important to remember that the most civilization did not simply disappear overnight. In many cases, people adapted by moving to a new area, changing their political system, or developing new cultural traditions. The knowledge and idea of earlier civilizations often influence the societies that follow. Today, archaeologists and historians continue to study the remains of this ancient culture. Rune, artifact, and written records allow us to learn more about how people lived thousands of years ago. This discovery reminds us that human history is a long story of creativity, resilience, and adaptation. The rise and fall of civilization is not just about the past, it also offers lessons for the present. Understanding how earlier society managed resources, build communities, and respond to challenge can help us think more carefully about the future. Across the world, the remains of ancient cities still stand quietly. They remind us that even the greatest civilizations are part of a larger human journey that continues to unfold.